The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Hello and welcome into week 5 of the Mike Clowney Show. Carson-Newman down 7th ranked Newberry inside of Berktar Stadium by a final score of 24-14. Hello everyone, I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier, alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. Mike, a lot to unpack from this weekend. Program win 650, the 14th win all-time as a Division II institution over a top 10 team. The 1980s reunion. You go up against the 5th-ranked rushing defense in the country and sextuple the Wolves' season rushing yards allowed. What a day, what a weekend. How proud are you of this team to do what they did against a team the caliber they did with a lot of old heads in the house?
You know, I think one thing that we've talked about kind of undercover a little bit is Philippians 3:14, you know, pressing on towards the goal of Christ Jesus. And I think that's one thing that when you look at this football team, you know, we talked to them before, or maybe it was at halftime about, you know, we talked about at West Georgia, like we feel like this group is a different group. And has an opportunity to accomplish some things that haven't been accomplished in a long time. You know, continue to work, continue to put things together, to continue to get better every week. And, you know, sometimes when you're not seeing the results of that, it can be frustrating. But just for them to be able to come in Saturday after that game and see just kind of the results of them being faithful and being resilient, continue to trust Christ, continue to move forward, you know, continue to, they're not getting their feelings, and then actually, you know, find some success was fun.
A defensive performance for the ages over the final 35 minutes of the game. Newberry didn't get a first down, just 17 yards of offense after halftime. The last time that happened, you were playing in conditions that I think we expected were going to be the conditions on Saturday. A absolute monsoon against Tusculum back in 2017. What keyed the defensive effort, especially after halftime? Yes, Newberry down Dre Harris at quarterback, but did not move the football at all.
You know, I think our defensive staff did a good job, and they've done a good job of getting guys defensively to buy into what's going on. You know, to start kind of, you know, realizing like the focus that needs to be there. You know, it's different when you talk about playing this caliber of football, you know, to where you're playing one of the top 10 teams in the country. Like, you have to be, you know, I heard it in your interview, zeroed in is the thing that you said at the end of the game. And that was one thing I thought that they were able to do this week, is just kind of zero in. You know, we didn't really give up any big plays. You know, we had one bust that we gave up a touchdown on. But other than that, you know, I thought guys were zeroed in on doing their job and responsibilities. And then when, you know, 11 guys do their job, it kind of works out for everybody.
Program win 650. 4th Division II school past that post. What's that mean to you, given that you've been around for pretty much a sixth of them as a player, assistant coach, and head coach?
You know, I'm a program guy. And so, you know, I think anything that we do for our program that continues to push the needle above and beyond what everyone else is doing, you know, I think it's a plus for all of us. And that's what we talked about in the post game, just having the 80s guys here. You know, for that game, I think it's something that's special. I'd say they probably accounted for, you know, a good fair amount of those wins. You're looking at winning 10 games a year, you know, over a decade like that. That's a lot of wins.
That's actually one of my favorite trivia questions about Carson-Newman football. If you had to pick which decade was the most successful in terms of overall wins, which decade is it? Just to drop one on you out of the blue.
I'm a 90s guy.
It's the 90s. Now, the 80s got all the national titles, but the 90s is the decade. I think that says something, too, about how difficult it is to actually win a national title, that you can have all those wins you got to have a little luck on the way to get there as well. Just because the 80s guys were back, a lot of talk about Ken Sparks this weekend. What's he saying to you right now?
That's a good one. I hadn't thought about that. I just think it would be, good job. Continue to keep Christ first. Continue to make sure that guys understand that the reason they're here is not just to play football, but it's to grow and develop as young men. I think it's the word that you get from coaching. I think he'd ask me, "Hey, Mike, how's your heart?"
Yeah. Nothing about that final score. Yeah, that's absolutely right. All right. Carson-Newman, big win over Newberry, 24-14. We break down the first half when we get back after this on the Mike Clowney Show.
Sure, we've been around a while, 171 years to be exact. We know the power of a liberal arts-based Christian education and the tremendous potential of what can be found on this campus, within this community. We are adventurers, dreamers, believers, passionate and compassionate, curious and clever, driven by a common purpose towards a common goal.
I found my passion.
I found purpose.
We are Carson-Newman.
What will you find?
Carson-Newman triumphs over the 7th-ranked team in the country in the Newberry Wolves by a final score of 24-14. Adam Cavalier, Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney here on the Mike Clowney Show. Mike, a first half where you fell behind, down 14-0 midway through the second quarter. Offense had some moments where they were moving the ball. Defense obviously had some moments as well. But Newberry, a long sustained drive to go up, and then a blocked field goal that they return 50 yards the other way to go for a 14-0 lead. You got punched. You recovered. How?
I think it really was a slow half. I don't think anybody scored in the first quarter, and then they were able to kind of put a long drive together. I think we had a penalty that kind of kept that drive going. But they were able to put a drive together and score. And, I thought our guys responded well. We were able to go back down the field, get across midfield late in the second quarter and try to attempt the field goal. We called timeout to think about it because of the situation you're in. It was probably too far to go for it, right there in that area. You hate to punt. Field goal that's, I don't know how likely it is, but it's makeable. We've seen them make them every day in practice. The thing that we don't do is we don't seal a gap and protect all the way down, and we get it blocked. And then they scoop and score. So immediately, you go from being down 7 to 14, and, but our guys, I thought, came back out and responded well.
Your quote post-game, I believe, was the worst thing that happened to us was the best thing that happened to us. The 2-minute drill, 7 plays, 70-yard drive, 74 seconds. You stick it in the end zone. How critical was that touchdown?
I think it was super critical because, it's different coming in the half. You just scored and it's 14-7. Coming in the half, you just got a field goal blocked and it's 14-0. It proved to our guys offensively that, we can move football on them. And so I was excited, with the resilience that they had coming out to put that drive together. It wasn't never in a second was it a war with me moment. I think that's the thing that's really going to push this group, further and further and further is, they're learning to not let their emotions control them. They're learning kind of how to control the game within the game as opposed to, as soon as something good or bad happens, we kind of go one way or another. They've been able to kind of stay locked in, stay focused, play the next play.
Running back by committee, and your quarterback has to get lumped in with that. Ivan Corbin, 100 yards rushing for a second time in 3 weeks. You have 4 guys that rush the ball for more than 40 yards. What'd you see out of your ball carriers?
I think, Tyree Nelson had a really good game, the long run, and he's just real smooth in a lot of the things that he does. And he also played physical in this game. And then we talked about Tyler Curtis coming in, scoring a touchdown. Brackett's kind of like the last couple of weeks been the shining star a little bit, kind of popped up unexpectedly. And then TJ King is just kind of Mr. Consistency. I think one thing I take from TJ's interview from last week, you kind of asked, hey, what this team's going to do to get moving next week against Newberry? And he said and staring for a little while, he's like, I'm just going to do what the coaches asked me to do. And so, And I think that's a testament to them. I know some days they get frustrated with Coach Weaver, but hard coaching isn't always fun, but it always produces fruit in the end. And so I think you're starting to see that fruit on the weekends.
How nice is it? You alluded to it. Tyler Curtis hadn't tasted the end zone. To see some of those guys start to actually, maybe produce fruit, I suppose, to continue the analogy.
Yeah, and so we talked about that. It's always, anytime you put in, hard labor, you want to see some fruit from it. And so for them to, Tyler had a tough week this week. I think there's a day this week Coach Weaver just had him run around the field. He didn't really get to practice. But the thing is, he was able to recover. He was able to come back the next day. And then I remember, Thursday's practice, I told Coach Weaver after practice, I was like, man, he had a couple times today where he was really, rolling, on a Thursday. And, but he, Coach Pursley, and Coach Zimmerman, our entire offensive staff have done a good job of continuing to push these guys to develop.
You've been run heavy all year long. Against Newberry, it felt like you were option heavy. Why was that?
I think that's something for us that I think we have to be able to do as a football team. I'm a defensive guy. Every week you line up defensively, one of the worst things you regularly see. Guys go play option and make somebody play dive, make somebody play quarterback, make somebody play pitch. I love playing defense when, there's just a simple scheme and everybody can just run and rally to the football. But we feel like with the guys that we have to be able to use them in multiple spots, kind of create threats across the board and force, defenses that have to defend every phase of the game.
Carson-Newman trailed at the halftime break to the Newberry Wolves by a score of 14-7, and here are those first half highlights.
Toward the formation, they'll fake the jet sweep to him. Harris back to pass. Weaver bugging around in the pocket. Sprints right, he's pursued, and Harris will chuck it sideways to the right side of the line with Alonzo Houston bearing him down. Incomplete at quarterback. He takes the snap and gives to Anderson right side, and Caleb Goins chases him down from behind to drag him down back at the 42-yard line. A loss of 2, 3rd and 7. Terrific for his right hash, 42. Elmore out of the gun. 3-step drop, steps up, dumps middle of the field, incomplete. Jackson Ward comes over the top of Deshaun Pitchings for the double-barrel shotgun. Play fake, pitch, right side. Nelson followed it, now hauls it in. Nelson caught from behind toward the right sideline by Alex Smith up at the 39-yard line. Eagles run the option and goes for 8 yards. Second. Shotgun snap, gives stretch play right side. Anderson whipped down in the boundary right side by Alonzo Houston. Takes the snap, throws right side. Westfield got 2 hands on it and catches it complete down to the 42-yard line, and he steps out of bounds. Chico Tony takes the snap. And off Anderson, right side on the zone read. He's into the second level. And Anderson has space across the 30 and 35 and caught from behind at the weight. Snap back, reverse, left side for Fongsak. Fongsak has the edge. He's to the 20. Major Williams had his hands on him. Can't bring him down, but Callum Clemens finishes him off near first. Got his Elmore, takes the handoff to Anderson, throws middle of the field. Washington, he is wide open. Catches at the goal line, touchdown Wolves. Tommy Washington, 3rd catch this season, 2nd receiving touchdown. The tight end beats the Eagles. It's a 10-yard score, and the Wolves to the right. Elmore takes the snap, hands off right, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide from Carson-Newman's interior line. Edward Bertree, the first man there, the Tusky. Trey Harris at quarterback. Elmore takes the shotgun snap, throws middle of the field. That's picked off by Alonzo Houston. Houston from the 35. Returns it along the right sideline up to the 41 for a 6-yard tote. And the Eagles get some sudden change out of the senior, Alonzo Houston. 2nd career school and sack record. And Fongsak going to try to return it. It is blocked. And Newberry is going to pick it up. Scooped up by Onequeri. Onequeri going to take it the distance. Touchdown Wolves. A 56-yard field goal try. Blocked scooped up and returned. Corbin takes from the gun. He'll keep it himself. Corbin has running room across midfield. The 45 into Newberry territory. And he hustles his way out of bounds down at the 40. Wes Smith knocks it. Third and 2 Eagles from the right hash at the Newberry 40. Corbin back to pass. Throws Waters right sideline. Nice catch. Waters reaching out to the right of his waist to haul it in inside the 25. Down at the 23 to move the chains with the 7 of the season on target on the bait stop. Corbin, first and 10, gives Nelson right side. Nelson into the second level. He's across the 10 and 5. Nelson all the way for 6. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Tyree Nelson, 23 yards out of the 2-minute offense. And the Eagles light the lamp. 14-6 with 37.2 seconds left in the second quarter.
All right, those are the first half highlights as Carson-Newman found itself down 14-7 to Newberry at the halftime break. Mike Clowney, halftime talk. Would you address the team?
Yeah, I'm like, what do I say? Like, but it comes back to me and what we talked about earlier. That's one thing I talked to him. Like, my personality is not just a rah. I always try to like not ever be too high or be too low. I know growing up, like I was always just kind of a super emotional guy. And it created a lot of problems for me. And so I had to learn to simmer down and take the good with the bad. And so, but we talked to him primarily about, man, if you could draw a game up for us going into Saturday, like, and being the situation that we were in, like, we couldn't be in any better situation than where we were. I mean, we were supposed to play in a hurricane. The weather was absolutely beautiful. We go in. I mean, I hate it for them. I hope they, Washington get better. But I'm like, their starting quarterback is sitting on the sideline. We just scored to put the game 14-7, and we get the ball coming back out at halftime. So I mean, we felt like hey, we go back, put this game 0-0. And that's why I told myself, I think if we put this game back to 0-0, we can win the rest of the game by 14 points. And I think we won it by 10 instead of 14, but. And I thought they got that too, but it was going to take us, lining up every single play, continue to execute every single play, don't present any extra opportunities for them. They're good enough to work and create their own. Let's not give them anything. And I think that's exactly what we did.
A game where you alluded to the weather, that was the expectation. We talked about the last time a team didn't have a first down after halftime, and it was Tusculum 17, which was played in a Noah get the boat type day. Did the lack of rain impact planning, impact how things transpired?
The only thing we worked on a wet ball earlier in the week. But, that's what I tell them. It's just like, if you talk about that emotional part of it, I can't control the weather. So what we're going to do is, we're going to plan to do what we do, and continue to work to get better at it and hope for the best, and we got the best.
This is a bit of a collector's item. Last time Carson-Newman rallied from a deficit of 2 touchdowns or greater was 2014 on homecoming against North Greenville. That was a 21-point deficit that the Eagles overcame. This is just the 9th double-digit deficit that Carson-Newman has overcome since the year 2000. You kind of touched on it, the game's set up for it, but what's that mean to you to rally? It's something that, there are a lot of wins over the years, a lot more wins than losses, but to recover the way you did and to pull it off, what's that mean to you?
That's why I can't remember which one of the kids I heard say, talk about, we've been here before, and that's where, to me, it's kind of alluding to the Limestone game. We fall down and we're able to kind of get back into that game, and then, to be able to kind of fall down and get back into this one, I think it goes back to, just, man, don't worry about what's down there, on that end of the field. Like the scoreboard, we can control it in the sense of how we play, but once the points are on there, the only thing that we can do is fix what's in front of us. And I thought our guys, they did that. I didn't think they got, too distracted by, okay, well, we gave up, that block kick, and it's 14. So that was another thing that we talked about at halftime. It was That was something we did, not necessarily something they did. You know, we didn't seal down on the kick and got it blocked. You know, and anytime you get an athlete a chance with the ball back there 10 yards behind everyone, you're probably going to give up a touchdown. And so just them being able to see, you know, once again, that's not something that they created. It's something that, you know, we just got to seal down, block, and then, you know, we're able to get the rest of the kicks off. And so I think, you know, for them, I'm proud of the way that they don't see that. They just keep playing.
Carson-Newman gets the job done over the number 7th ranked team in the country, 24-14. We break down the second half when we come back after this on the Mike Clowney Show.
Tri-Light is proud to support Carson-Newman Athletics. We salute the student athletes who are working hard to make great things happen on the field, in the classroom, and in the world. It takes vision, commitment, and teamwork, qualities we share at Tri-Light. Our mission is to provide life-changing opportunities by building a world-class fiber broadband network. If you'd like to learn more, please visit trilight.net or call us at 833-847-0824. We love to cheer for our home teams, like the Eagles. It means more when we're rooting for the people we know. Did you know Tri-Light is your home team internet provider? We're right here in Jefferson City, serving the people we know with our ultra-fast, ultra-reliable fiber broadband network. And we'd love to serve you. Learn more at trilight.net or by calling 833-847-0824. Go Eagles!
Back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman collects a 24-14 win over the 7th ranked team in the country in the Newberry Wolves. I'm Adam Cavalier alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. Mike, a second half that you have to talk about the defensive effort. 17 yards allowed, no first downs allowed. The drive summaries are a wonderful dream for a defensive coordinator. 5 straight 3-and-outs and then a game-sealing interception. What'd you see from that unit to be so dominant over the final, not just second half, but the final 35 minutes of that game?
I mean, it was fun watching them just kind of run on and off the field. You know, like we talked about being zeroed in. You know, watching them just kind of with a lot of energy, kind of fight. You know, making just play after play after play. You know, because like I know there's a crossing route that came across the middle, and we kind of eliminate number 2 receiver and rally back to the football. So just being able to see them do a lot of the little things is something that we need to continue to do.
Alonzo Houston, a player of the week type performance. 10 tackles, a couple in the backfield, gets his second career pick. It has kind of hovered, at least statistically, below the grass line this season. How gratifying is it to see one of your preseason all-conference guys jump up there and have a high-caliber game?
It's a great day for Alonzo. You know, the one that sticks out to me was the interception. I mean, you see him sink back, and it's in the middle of the field. He reached the quarterback's eyes and get back underneath to get the pick, you know, to get us the ball back at midfield. You know, because that's something that we've talked about a lot. It's just kind of like, you know, we've been in these field position situations to where it hadn't been favorable for us. But the way you get out of that is to create some turnovers. But to see Lonzo be able to run around, make tackles, you know, get the interception, and to watch him also be a great teammate, be an encourager to the other guys, I think is awesome.
A drive that is a championship caliber drive puts you in front. 13 plays, 80 yards, your longest drive in terms of time of possession this season at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. Curtis, the guy that sticks it in at the end. What'd you see out of your team playing ball control in the fourth quarter to bleed the clock, and 2, go ahead?
You know, I think, you know, big things there is like you always like you just kind of move the ball, take care of the ball. You know, the thing you didn't want at that moment, we were kind of back and forth, you know, no one's really moving, and then like, you know, at some point someone has to do something, and to see our guys kind of take ownership of that moment. You know, the game starting to kind of get midway through there, and to see them kind of own that moment, you know, especially from offensive line to where, you know, we already had to shuffle guys around. We didn't talk about that. To where we had to take Colt, move Christian in, and make that adjustment. But I think Coach Ray has done a phenomenal job with those guys, preparing them. But just to see, you know, them own that moment in the game to where we can gain some traction and get the ball in the end zone.
You hit it. That was next. Brian Doe goes out with an injury, your starting center. You move Colt Sinor over to center. Granted, that's the position that he was at preseason before injuries at left guard necessitated that change. But Christian Jones, first snaps at left guard, and then Claude Vangelis, who, granted, played a good bit last year at Millersville, comes in at left tackle. And again, can't understate it. That was a team that had given up 201 yards rushing all year long, and you rushed for 311. What'd you see out of that line, that patchwork line, especially late, continuing to control the line of scrimmage against a really good defense?
I think the biggest thing was persistence. Like, we didn't always just kind of eliminate them, knock them back, but I thought our guys did a good job of staying on blocks, continuing to move their feet. The thing that kind of gets overlooked in a lot of those situations is blocking on the perimeter. Where we talked about, being able to run the option. Well, you run the option a couple times, we get it pitched. Well, the reason we were able to score, there's one touchdown here because we got blocking the end zone. I think about Braxton. There's another point to where Cade and Luke, really get good blocks on the perimeter, spring stuff open for us. And so it really wound up being, then backs blocking for one another. It really wound up being like a total unit effort. Another thing that sticks out are, we had a couple, Braxton, I don't think Braxton gets in the end zone this week, but, there's 2 pass interference penalties where somebody's got to grab him to keep him out of the end zone, which creates first downs, allow us to kind of keep the ball and keep things moving. So it was a total unit effort for those guys to be able to, put that drive together to put the ball in the end zone.
Carson-Newman prevails over the 7th-ranked team in the country in the Newberry Wolves, 24-14. Here are the second half highlights.
2nd and 10. Corbin takes zone read left side, pitches to Nelson. He's got a seam shifty move to the left across midfield, has first down yardage, lowers the boom and hustles out of bounds. Tight end. Double barrel shotgun for Corbin. 2nd and goal, left hash 1. Corbin takes, gives left side. Curtis wiggles his way in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. T.C. Curtis, 1 yard off left guard. And the Eagles a PAT away from tying it up against the number 7 team in the country. Corbin from the gun. Takes the snap, will hand off King. Left side, King into the second level across the 10, the 15, and ushered out of bounds up at the 19-yard line by Ryan Harrington out of 14. Banks in motion, snap back, and a throw, backward pass to Banks. Banks gobbled up and dropped by Major Williams for a loss in the boundary right side. In the gun, Dre Harris, the all-sack quarterback, out of the game the first series with an injury. Phillips back to pass, pressured up the middle, dumps a screen right side Anderson. Anderson squiggles away from one, but he won't get away from Jackson Ward, who stops him up at the 45-yard line with a tackle of his left ankle. Washington to the short side left. Snap to Corbin, speed option left side. Corbin cuts through a hole. He's got the first down over the numbers left side, up across the 35 to the 36, where he is belted down by Quez Smith and Taylor. The short side left as Corbin takes on 3rd and 7. Back to pass, throws out to the flat Westfield, bobbles, catches, evades one man, high steps, right sideline, out of bounds, first down yardage in Newberry territory. Braxton Westfield shimmied and shook Luke Taylor. Right side left for Ivan Corbin. Takes the snap and just going to keep it right side. A lot of running room for Corbin. Corbin with the cutback lane to the 30. He's got the first down across the 25 and ripped down from behind by Gambrell down at the 21. It was Ivan Corbin all the way, and it goes 24 yards for a first down. 3rd and 7 for the Eagles. Corbin takes option left pitch. Curtis, the Red Sea parts. He walks in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Tyler Curtis, 9 yards, and the Eagles lead a top 10 team with 5 minutes left in the 4th. Blocking for the receivers again. Corbin takes, zone read, left side. Corbin into the second level, across the 40. Corbin in a foot race past the 30. Corbin dragged down along the left sideline, inside the 20, down at the gun. Takes the snap, design run. Corbin back to the right. Corbin, can he get space? Looking for a block. Corbin down to the 10, and he gives himself up along the right sideline at the 10-yard line. Bradshaw snap back. Hyatt hold down. Kraft kick It's through! 24-14, Eagles by 10. The coaches to our left charged up. Eagles with a 27-yard field goal from Nate Kraft in place of the injured Trey Harris in the game. He's back to pass, has time, he's pressured, he's hit. Phillips is bound for the turf, sacked back at the 22. David Alexander, Carson-Newman from its first win over a top 10 team in 15 years at home. Here's a pass, it is bobbled, it is picked. Jalon Walton seizes it. Ball game. Carson-Newman, the second pick of the day by the secondary, and the Erskine transfer Walton will ice this game with an INT. In for this coaching staff. Corbin will take the second kneel down, and that will do it. Clowney dunked, and Carson-Newman celebrates a win over a top 10 team here in Berktar Stadium. The Eagles triumphant with 24 unanswered to punch back and thump Newberry by a final score of 24-14. The Wolves 5 3-and-outs and a pick offensively in the second half, and the Eagles just keyed in defensively. Carson-Newman did not give up a first down after halftime and gave up a whopping 17 yards of total offense to Newberry in the second half, while rushing for more than 300 yards against the Wolves for the first time in 7 seasons. Michael Watrek, what a performance against a top 10 team at home.
There's no question about it, and you cannot speak enough to the effort by this Carson-Newman football team. But here's another thing that we have not mentioned in a while. Carson-Newman saw Brian Doe, the team starting center, get injured. The Eagles had to make a few different changes along that offensive line. This was a Newberry team that was top 5 in the country in rushing defense. And Carson-Newman just ran the ball for 304 yards, stuck with it. Everybody got in on the act. Eagles averaged 5 yards a carry. And oh yeah, Carson-Newman's defense was as good as they've been in a long time.
Exceptional effort for the Eagles inside of Berktar Stadium with a bunch of folks from the 1980s in town, and Carson-Newman throttles 7th-ranked Newberry at home 24-14. Carson-Newman's football.
All right, those are the second half highlights from Carson-Newman's 24-14 win over the Newberry Wolves. When we return on the Mike Clowney Show, it's time for Talent Talk. That's after these messages. All right, back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman gets the job done over Newberry in Week 5. 24-14, a win over a top 10 team for the Eagles. Time now for Talent Talk. And this week, walking the field with Michael Watrang, it's Frank Lee.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Talent Talk. Pleased to be joined by Frank Lee for this episode.
Takes the snap, play fake, back to pass. Noller steps up in the pocket. He is swallowed up by Frank Lee and driven to the turf in the boundary left side.
Frank, let's get walking here. So you started your playing days in college as a basketball player. What's the scouting report on Frank Lee, the basketball player?
Well, initially everybody, I like to run. You know, basketball is fast-paced. That's one of the main reasons I kind of liked it. It's very fast. Football is like here and there. But I say I like to get out and run. It's probably the biggest thing.
What position were you?
Point guard. I was a lot skinnier, though. I was about 190, 200 pounds when I got here.
Were you a scoring point guard, or were you more of a distributor?
Nah, I like to assist better. I could score when I wanted to, but I like to assist better, though.
So you started with basketball, but then you make the decision to transfer schools and play football. What went into that choice?
Well, coming out of high school, I couldn't really decide which sport I wanted to play initially, so I just gave both of them a try to kind of see, which one I like better, and here I am today.
How did you wind up at Carson-Newman?
Well, one of my like mentor coaches in high school knew Coach Clowney and just connected me through him.
1st and 10, Messina. Zone read, didn't read it right. Frank Lee in his grill.
Let's transition into a little bit of fun facts. Let's get to know you a little bit away from athletics. What is the first sporting event you went to?
First sporting event? Probably like youth day at like South Carolina State football from Orangeburg. So it's probably like one of the first events I've been to probably.
What would you say would be a concert that you would like to go to, an artist that you would like to see if you had an opportunity to do so?
So I like music. I'll say probably Lil Baby, but I'm not a big concert guy. But if I had to say somebody, probably Lil Baby, probably.
Have you ever been to a concert?
Nah, I haven't.
So we got to get you to a concert by the time that you're done here. Final question in terms of the fun facts. You can fill out a dinner table of 3 people in all of history. Who do you want with you at the dinner table?
For sure, Von Miller. I say T.J. Watt, and then I got to go LeBron. I gotta go LeBron.
Well, I like what you did there. You got a couple edge rushers there, and then you got LeBron James in there as well, an incredible athlete. Who do you mimic your game after as a pass rusher?
I'd say I'm similar, like in size. I'd say to Von Miller. That's who I probably watch the most. T.J. Watt is a little bit, bigger than I am. He's more of a big end, but I like to watch Von Miller a lot.
You've already made a big impact this season in terms of your pass rushing skills. It feels like every game you're making something happen. What's the scouting report on your ability to rush the passer? What would you say are your biggest strengths?
My biggest strength, I'd probably say, is coming off the edge for sure. I love playing like quarterback to side plays where they gotta try to read off of me because I got the ability to play both a lot of the times. A lot of them don't know how fast I really am, so I'd say that's probably my best ability.
Final question for you as we wrap things up and hit this final line here. Started with basketball, you got a lot of time left. What do you want to develop on as a player over these next few years as you've only played in 5 games in your career?
A lot. That's a big question. I'd say for sure I want to become better at pass rushing. It's not really clean right now. It's more just natural ability. I would say develop more skill-wise, more than just my natural abilities, blessed with size and speed. But I'll say more so honed in on the skill aspect of it.
Frank, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck this year.
All right, no problem. Appreciate it.
That's Frank Lee on this episode of Talent Talk.
All right, thank you very much, Michael Watring, Mike Clowney, Frank Lee. What a unique story. One, great basketball scoreboard operator. I don't care what he does on the football field. Put him on the clock and Holt, we're good to go. Former Hooper, who has turned into a nightmare at that Fox end position. What's he meant to this program?
Frank, it's been fun watching Frank grow and develop. Just my first connection with Frank was a guy I know called me and said, "Hey man, there's a guy playing basketball. I think he was at he was in Spartanburg Methodist playing basketball at Spartanburg Methodist. Like he wants to get back into football." And so I was driving, so I sent his film to Coach Slade, and they looked at it. So I called him back that night because I was out recruiting, and just to kind of see him transitioning into playing basketball to being here playing football. It's crazy. This is his first real time kind of getting action. He's been here for a while, but just to, when he gets here, hey, he's really athletic, but you can tell he hadn't played a ton of football. But to see him kind of start maturing as a football player is exciting.
Turn your attention to a rivalry game, second oldest rivalry in the state of Tennessee. Tusculum's 4-1. A big comeback win for the Pioneers. On Thursday night, their game with Barton moved up, rallied from 13 down on the road. What do you see out of Jerry Odom's group making the short trip over to Greenville to battle the Pioneers?
They've got a really athletic football team. The guys run around. They do a really good job on the perimeter. They got some receivers that poses big time threats. They got an athletic quarterback. His team's always played well defensively.
Mike, what a win. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. This has been the Mike Clowney Show. Thanks for watching.